Hello, my friends. So it's on a day like this that I feel that all of the gains that we get in the market are not only deserved, very well deserved. And in many ways, making money in the market is much harder than making money at your job. The pain that you may feel today, and I know a lot of portfolios are probably halved from 45 to 60 days ago. The pain that you feel today is the price that one pays for those returns. Those returns are not free, and making money in the market is painful and it's hard work. And on a day like today, this is yet again what I keep saying on this channel. The 2020s are not a good decade. This is the decade with the most people shaken out of the market, scared of the market. I don't know what is going on with the liquidity on one hand, the manipulations on the other hand. But for those who don't buy the indices, for those who pick stocks, which I assume it's most people on this channel, this has been a really tough decade for a stock picker. Very tough decade. I miss the 2010s. I'll tell you one thing. The 2010s were so much easier. I invested throughout the 2010s. So much easier. I know the 2000s were not a good decade. I know the 90s, though, were a pretty good decade. The 2020s are looking like the 2010s. So just know, like, this is the market where no thinking is allowed. Dump it all. They dump everything. The market doesn't care. It's something going on under the hood. The market is more fickle than ever, because if you try to think about this logically, you would run nuts. You would go crazy. If you remember the big drop, it dropped from the bluff of the China tariff from Trump. You remember that bluff? That was about a month ago now. We knew it was a bluff. It was always going to be a bluff, and it ended up being a bluff. And we've known this for many years. We always know this, but the market dumped. And then the government shut down. We're supposed to have a catalyst for the reopening. It dumps again. End of QT in December, that was announced. The market is still dumping. The AI boom was confirmed by AMD. If you looked at AMD's results the other day, stunning results. The demand is there. The demand is real. Well, AI is dumping like crazy today. Liquidity, I think it's a problem of liquidity. Liquidity is coming back next week. Those paychecks are probably going to be hitting the banks on Monday, and the government is reopening, and that's going to take a few days, and liquidity is back next week. I kind of feel like liquidity is the only thing that can save this market at this point. The market is capitulating. We are in extreme fear. And now you have the narrative all over CNBC and X that the Fed is not going to cut rates, or they don't know if they're going to cut rates. Well, yeah, the probabilities of rate cut for December 2025 have been trending down, but the probabilities still say we're getting a rate cut. And we know Powell has been a problem. On this channel, I've always said this problem will be gone in May 2026, but the market doesn't look 7 months ahead. The market only cares, it seems, about the day-to-day at this point. So it's complete nonsense. It's as if AI was cancelled. In the case of HIMSS, I'll talk about HIMSS a little bit. It's as if telehealth was cancelled. It's as if, Bitcoin is dying. Why is Bitcoin dying? Because governments are going to be virtuous today. They're going to be virtuous again, right? They're going to stop issuing government bonds. Treasuries are going to get stopped issued. We're going to be a virtuous government now. I mean, if you looked at the circus of the House yesterday I was watching, like clerk.gov or whatever. I was watching the House, like it's a bunch of children. Like the circus, the absolute circus. So yeah, the market is telling us now that really we're gonna get virtuous. We're gonna stop having a deficit, and the money is gonna be good, and thus Bitcoin needs to crash, and we need to buy fiat. And by the way, all of this you see crashing is most likely people buying fiat. You're buying fiat. You're thinking the government is gonna get it right? No, not at all. So this, to me, everything has to do with the liquidity. It's entirely ridiculous. In days like this of extreme fear, correlation goes to 1. Everything dumps. And so what do we have? We had the Nasdaq down 2.3%. No, I don't really care about that move. It's not a big move, except it's been like that for a long while now. We've had a lot of volatility for a long while, back to back for a long while. And of course, Bitcoin, for some reason, whenever there's a crisis, correlates to the Nasdaq. Bitcoin down 2.9%. And strategy, I mean, this is the capitulation of capitulation. MNAV keeps compressing, 7% down, and strategy is trading at a 0.95 basic MNAV. So you're getting Bitcoin even cheaper if you want to have exposure to Bitcoin via strategy. Now, here's the thing. I've always said strategy can't do well if Bitcoin doesn't go well. And Bitcoin is not doing well right now. 98,400. Big dump from the beginning of the day. And perhaps, as usual, overnight when the markets are closed, Bitcoin will go back up, probably above 100, and then when the markets open on Friday again, probably Bitcoin crashes again. So this is complete madness. It's the liquidity. It's a wide sell-off, and of course, that sell-off is also seen in stretch. It's really too bad. We had seen nearly 5 days of constant ATM in stretch, and now it's dumping all of a sudden. So people are even selling their mega stable coin. That is how much fear is in this market right now. A small positive, let me tell you though, is if you remember the Stream IPO in Europe, the 715 million that Saylor raised, technically settles today. So technically, the buy for 700 million Bitcoin technically should happen today for strategy. And we know that he likely uses OTC, and OTC doesn't really impact the spot price. The spot price is mostly impacted by Binance. But if Saylor's buying right now, right, it's middle afternoon in the USA, if he's buying right now, that's $98,000 Bitcoin that you can snap. So that's snapping many more Bitcoin than when he was buying at 120 plus 3 weeks ago. It's tough to believe this was 3 to 4 weeks ago. Anyways, the market makes absolutely no sense. I read the price action of Bitcoin as it's as if the market thought Fiat was going to be virtuous and Bitcoin is dead. Bitcoin is not dead, my friends. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. The 2020s, the money you make, you watch this channel and the other channels, the money we make in the 2020s, that is hard-earned money if it is made on the markets. It is hard-earned money. This has been an emotional roller coaster. This is extremely annoying, and it's yet again a market where no thinking is allowed. There is no room for brains. There's no room for brains. Anyways, Tesla. What did Tesla do? There's nothing but bullish catalyst. Tesla was down 7% most of the day. I guess it's down 6.5% now. Some people are trying to put a spin on it and say Tesla's down because of the car sales. But if you look at month over month, the car sales of Tesla are actually doing very well. But anyways, doesn't matter. The valuation of Tesla, $1.3 trillion market cap. That valuation is not linked to cars. That valuation has nothing to do with cars. It's all about FSD. It's all about robotaxi. That's in the medium term to short term. And then over the long run, the valuation is all about the humanoids, which are coming. If you watched the shareholder presentation a week ago, and you saw those robots, and you don't think these are coming? I mean, these were real things. Like, this is going to be pretty darn insane. Tesla has literally outlined the pay package. This is the pay package. It literally outlines, the road to essentially a 10x, and not quite, but 7 or 8x from here. And the stock is dropping 7% when, yet again, everybody in the Tesla community was announcing 600 or 500 by year-end or something like that. That's why I don't do price targets. I don't do short-term stuff. I don't use terms like Moon November or Uptober. Others do, but to me, I don't want to hear these terms anymore. Because the market in the 2020s is not an easy market. It is not for the faint of heart. Anyways, moving on. No thinking aloud. Let's put our no thinking aloud warning sign here. HIMS. Poor HIMS. Okay. HIMS should have bounced hard after the Q3. It was an amazing Q3. And I think 95% of the people in the HIMS community agree with that statement, if not 99%. The stock was down, way down, okay? And by the way, this is not the only stock that reacted like that. CorMedix, which is a stock that I'm kind of pounding the table on, but I like a lot, was down too after outstanding guidance, outstanding results. A lot of stocks in that sector, in the healthcare sector, have been just sold hard just by virtue of them being small, right? Because if you look at the bigger health stocks, they haven't sold off nearly as hard. But just because they're small, the market is selling it off. And this is despite today, and I'll make a video on this today or tomorrow. This is despite the fact today that HIMSS has just announced a product in the United States with a total addressable market of 300 million people. Literally everybody qualifies for that. As far as I'm concerned, lab testing, to me, that's and that's longevity, that's lab testing. To me, this unlocks the attack of HIMSS against the mom and pop physician, the physical, the yearly physical. This is what HIMSS is going after, right? For, by the way, $199 a year, well, that's roughly the price of a physical. That's roughly the price. I mean, it's, to me, this is going to be a hit. And yeah, the company HIMSS, who's working really, really hard trying to innovate, who clearly, if you listen to that call, I haven't had the time to make a video about the call of HIMSS, but they've clearly outlined a plan to take the cash cow away from mom and pop doctor, to take the cash cow away from the tens of thousands of pharmacies in the United States, to take the cash cow away eventually from the labs. They've literally outlined that plan. And the stock is down. So again, thinking caps, they're not needed. There's no thinking right now in the market. This is complete nonsense. It's all about liquidity. It's all about manipulation. And if you look at all these stocks, I could go through so many different stocks that I like at this level. Oscar back at $14, less than $14. This is ridiculous. Nothing has changed for Oscar. Nothing has changed for Oscar. Their guidance. Everything doesn't assume an extension of the subsidies. The subsidies have not been not extended. They just delayed the vote. There will be a vote in December. The level of uncertainty on Oscar to me is roughly the same. Yet the stock dumped, what was it, 30% now in a matter of a week? Maybe a little less. I don't know. I don't really follow the day-to-day. I guess I do for this channel, but otherwise I shouldn't. I wouldn't. If I didn't have this channel, I would go on a park right now, right? I would go on a park. Maybe the losses I find a little too high. Maybe I delete the app and I disappear for a week. That's what I would do. And I know that's what a few of you are doing because I see the audience on the channel has been going down. Anyways, Mara is minus 11%. Minus 11% for Mara. This is ridiculous. Yeah, 15% off on the Bitcoin of Mara. Free power plants, free mining equipment, free stake in Auradine, free 70% stake in Exion with a quantum computer and all that sort of stuff. This stock, even though it doesn't really have a cohesive strategy and the market doesn't really understand it too much, this stock is essentially a conglomerate of valuable assets of the future. Plus, you get it for free. Plus, you get 15% Bitcoin extra for free, and it's trading at like minus 11% today. This is a complete wipeout. The market is just selling off with nonsense. If you look at CleanSpark, it's even more telling. CleanSpark was up to $23. Everybody was so happy, and we are back to square one. We are back to the levels of July. It's as if nothing ever happened. It's as if AI was never going to happen. AI is not real. Data centers are not real. We don't need data centers. Nebius is the same story. Nebius, you would forget that Nebius announced another deal with a hyperscaler, a $3 billion deal with Meta. 3 weeks ago, had this been announced, any stock in that sector would have popped 20 to 30%. And now it gets announced, and not only do you get a big sell-off on earnings day, but you keep selling off for 2 more days because of the macro. And you can see, I mean, it's market-wide. So at this point, I anticipate liquidity perhaps coming back on Monday, hopefully. I don't anticipate tomorrow will be a good day because, it's expiration day, it's Friday, options expiration day. At this point, I'm really hopeful for NVIDIA earnings to kind of save us. But this market is ridiculous. It's decided to be fearful. It's decided to not allow any thinking. It has decided to dump it all. And this is such a complete nonsense. Without many of those in the 2020s, we are used to it now. The key is to not be leveraged so that you don't get wiped out. The key is not to use is to not use margins so that you don't get wiped out. I had been pacing my buy over the past few months, and now I'm pretty happy that I had been pacing my buys. But you know, it's just so unfortunate that so many people were like, "Oh, November is coming and October is coming." Well, you know, I don't want to hear about that ever again. You know, the market is just nuts in the 2020s. It's just nuts. And if you survive the 2020s, you know, my guess is the 2030s will be a beautiful market period. Anyways, this was not investment advice. This is not financial advice. This is only entertainment. I'm hoping you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe. Follow me on Patreon. Follow me on X. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful, wonderful day.